Hovedbåden på den her godt betalt på den sorte børs, det er adgangstegnet til den pressekonference, der skal finde sted her om godt og vel en halv times tid. Vi er i Stockholm lørdag formiddag pressemøde med David Bowie. I baggrunden sweet soul music fra 60'erne, noget af det musik, som Bowie er vokset op med, og som i høj grad præger hans musik i dag. Programmet er, altså om en halv time skulle mesteren selv træde op på scenen sammen med 2 af sine musikere. Det har han gjort ved tidligere pressekonferencer for at give et nummer eller 2 fra hans nye LP. Den, som ligesom er baggrunden for, at mere end 400 journalister fra hele Skandinavien er samlet her i dag. De venter udenfor. Det, der sker her, er de sidste hektiske forberedelser med tv og film og alt muligt andet for at forevige dette store øjeblik, hvor Bowie går på scenen til interviews og til meget andet. Senere i eftermiddag skulle vi solo til under uget få et interview med David Bowie på et helt andet hotel her i byen. Men ellers en varm, hyggelig forårsformiddag her i Stockholm. Efter koncerten ved pressemødet her ved middagstid, så er vi nu på Hotel Strand. Vejret er fortsat forår her først på eftermiddagen. Isen smelter i Stockholms havn lige nedenfor vores vinduer. Og vejret passer fortræffeligt på den David Bowie, vi møder. Also, when we met you at the concert earlier today, you look happy, David. Seem happy.
I look happy.
Yeah, you seem happy.
I seem happy.
Yeah.
But is he really happy?
I think you are.
You know, under this happy exterior is this man of loneliness and solitude who can never go out on the street. I'm extraordinarily happy.
Okay, good. Your new song, Day In, Day Out, very much a blues song.
Yeah.
Lyrically?
Well, it crops up with me all the time. I mean, in every album I've done, there's always some reference, because you must remember, in the good old 60s, I mean, I was a rhythm and blues singer. I wanted to be Muddy Waters like every other good English boy at that time, you know. You always just wanted to be there singing rhythm and blues. But that's always carried, whatever I've done, it's a return to the blues or rhythm and blues somewhere. Yeah. And always working with Carlos, of course. Carlos is from his background was with the Apollo House Band. He worked with James Brown Band. I mean, so it's always in there. You know, it's always going to keep surfacing.
The lyrics deals with ordinary, common people, like it should in all good blues songs.
Yeah.
Their problems, social injustice, and all that.
Yeah.
I find it maybe also the video, maybe one of the most realistic and rough you've ever done.
That's right, that's true, and I'm not quite sure why that's happened. I just found that over the last few years, my writing's become more direct.
Den engelske rocksanger og multikunstner David Bowie var for nylig i Stockholm, hvor han holdt pressekonference for musikjournalister fra hele Europa. Hans Otto Bisgaard fik et længere interview på tomandshånd med David Bowie. Og det får vi i aften, suppleret med video fra David Bowies nyeste plade.
It's kind of ready.
But you got the band together.
Yeah, the band is together, but I'm trying to do something very different with the next tour. It has a very strong dramatic subtext to it. And a lot of it, I'm working with other people on this tour, other than the band. Excuse me, I won't go any further than exactly what it's going to be, but a lot of the rehearsals, it'll be a 2-month rehearsal period, and it will take place in almost a workshop improvisational situation. And it's something very exciting to me, because it almost goes back to the kind of theatre that I was doing in the early 70s. And shall I keep going, or do you want to translate that?
No, you just go ahead.
There's certain kinds of expressionist theatre that appeal to me very much, like the George Kaiser and Bertolt Brecht kind of theatre. And there's some attempt, just a small one, to amalgamate that kind of theatre with rock for this next tour. And for me to do that kind of thing again after years is pretty exciting.
Yes, I thought about that because with your later LPs in recent years, you sort of been stepping out from the different persons you were before.
Yeah.
Aren't you now afraid of going into all these different roles again?
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm afraid of going into roles again. I think that I would approach them from a different way than I approached them before. The role playing that I had in the early 70s was bad for me in the way that I was utilizing it, because it was too mixed up with a rock lifestyle and drugs and everything else, and it became what we call in the music business a mess. And so I had to leave that alone. And now that I've started concentrating more on what I want to do musically, now I feel that I can approach the theatrics of what I want to do with a very different point of view. And the next show will be not so much about a characterization, but more of a review of attitudes within rock and roll. So it won't be so much as a character. It'll hopefully be me, maybe me, but it's a reflection of characters, a reflection of situations and atmospheres in rock and roll. I don't know until we get through into the workshop how it's going to work.
No, and how much you as a person are going to be mixed into the roles, but you sort of learned a lesson from the earlier days there.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. It's not a good thing to get involved with one's stage roles and take them off stage.
No, certainly not.
No, certainly not, he says. Oblique Strategies, yes, Brian Eno. Do you know I have my set down the hall?
You do?
I do. I
Do you
carry them
use
with
them?
me constantly. How extraordinary. Do you know that I know you're the first person...
What number is
Number
your...
22. Do you know I haven't a clue what my number is?
I bought
That's
them
right.
from Brian Eno in 75, and
Do you-
I always remember it because, you know, you're always given things, and
Yes.
once I had to buy something, you know, as a critic or whatever.
So let's see what we're going to do
Yes.
next, shall we?
Yes, shall we?
Yeah. Should we tell people what
Yeah.
these are?
Yeah.
These are a set of cards that were devised by Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt. Peter Schmidt is a painter and a thinker, conceptualist. And Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt one day decided to sit down at breakfast and write down a list of all the tools that they use and the strategies that they use when they come to a cul-de-sac in their respective arts, in Eno with music and with Peter Schmidt in painting. And so they wrote down a list of things they do when they couldn't go any further with a song or couldn't go any further with a painting. And then they put all those things together and made a pack of cards. So we have a song, and I've got to a certain point in the song, and I don't know what to do. I refer to the cards, and my card tells me, consult other sources, either promising or unpromising. Right. So you get a series of situations. There are no rules for using these cards. Consult other sources. Okay, so that's maybe what I should do. I have this song. I don't know what to do. Consult other sources. I'll go to a book of paintings and I'll start looking through the work of Marcel Duchamp or Picabia, or maybe go to some other area, or look at some stage settings by Diaghilev period or something like that. And there may be something in that work which will then give me a clue or give me a breakthrough. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, of course you understand what I mean. Oh, here's a lovely one. Just carry on.
So we'll do that.
Okay, just carry on. We'll just carry on. These are wonderful cards if you can get a set.
Yeah. Like you, David, I'm a father to a teenage son, and I find it very interesting to watch what they're into also when it comes to music.
It's fascinating.
I don't know, my son is into like rap, DMC.
Exactly, Run DMC,
Yeah.
Beastie Boys, hip-hop music.
Yeah.
It's exactly, how old's yours? 15,
15,
I guess, yeah. It's exactly what my son's into.
What do you take that they're into music, especially like rap?
I think it's because it's not quite accepted by everybody else. It doesn't have an acceptance level. And I think kids, it's very important for them to discover a world at that age that they can truly identify with and say is their own world. And because they still have a problem relating age and maturity to being one consistent thing in life, that although we're all different ages, we are all human beings, it's not quite in place yet when you're 15 years old. For them, there really is a big difference between, for them, for you and I, well, I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
41.
Right. So for us, the difference between 40, 41 and 35 or even 28 is no big deal. But for a 15-year-old, the difference between being 15 and being 13, is immense. It's massive. And so every few years they have to keep redefining their world. I think that's why they go for a kind of music that is essentially theirs. And as soon, of course, as soon as it's accepted, it's no longer important. They must find their own secret world all the time.
Certainly. I'd take that when they go into rap music as a great compliment, because I thought of find it like blues music of today.
Yeah.
It's on the streets, right? And
Exactly.
It deals with their problems.
Absolutely, yeah, it does very, very much. And it's very hard now to find music on the mass media that really does deal with teenage problems anymore. And rock and roll is no longer theirs. It never was there. They weren't interested in it. It is our music, us 40-year-olds.
Yes, right.
It is essentially our music. For them, for teenagers, they now have another kind of music. They sound like my father used to say, oh, that music's just teenagers' music. Yeah, it is. No, it's 40-year-old music.
I find your new song, Day In, Day Out, very much a blues song.
Yeah.
Lyrically?
Well, yeah, it crops up with me all the time. I mean, in every album I've done, there's always some reference, because you must remember, in the good old 60s, I mean, I was a rhythm and blues singer. I wanted to be Muddy Waters like every other good English boy at that time, you know. You always just wanted to be there singing rhythm and blues. But that's always carried, whatever I've done, it's a return to the blues or rhythm and blues somewhere. Yeah. And always working with Carlos, of course. Carlos is from... His background was with the Apollo House Band. He worked with James Brown Band. I mean, so it's always in there. You know, it's always going to keep surfacing.
Yeah, the lyrics deals with ordinary, common people, like it should in all good blues songs.
Yeah.
Their problems, social injustice,
yeah,
and all that.
Yeah.
I find it maybe also the video, maybe one of the most realistic and rough you've ever done.
That's right. That's true. And I'm not quite sure why that's happened. I just found that over the last few years, my writing's become more direct. It's something I'm not used to. I'm known, and I always thought, and I still believe, that my forte or my strength is for impressionistic or surrealistic pieces of work that create an atmosphere rather than make some direct or didactic point. But now I discovered polemics, and I've realized that you can be fairly clear and concise. I'm not sure how good at it I am. I feel like a beginner in that area. So for me, it's a new adventure. If I'm experimenting, then for me, I'm experimenting in that area, because I've never done that before. But I like what's happened with Day In, Day Out, with the combination of the video and the song. I think it's a strong piece of work, and I think it says what I meant it to say. You know,
we're going to see.
I never thought of myself as a Joe Strummer, you know,
No.
but it's like I feel positive about that. I feel that's a strong piece of work.
It certainly is. But I think we're going to show the video now, David. And once again, you're on the street. Most of your videos lately have been street situations.
Yeah.
This time, maybe not the ordinary neighborhood.
No, unfortunately, it is the ordinary neighborhood for the people in this video. And all the people who are acting in this video are homeless people from Los Angeles. That's who we worked with. And but these particular homeless people formed themselves into a theater group so that they could become more vocal about their situation on the streets. And I saw their production in LA. They have a little house there where they put on their performances for anybody who wants to come and see them. They're called Skid Row Theatre. And it's fascinating. They put their problems forward in songs and little review and little situations and monologues, and they all contribute. There's about 20 to 30 of them, transient, because they are a transient group, and they come in and out and project their problems like that. And I wanted to work with them very much, so I worked with them. And the police in this video are the Los Angeles police, and the machine that they use at the end is their machine for pushing down houses. And the sign on it, which says, "Have a nice day," is the sign the LA police put on the end of that machine. And I said, you know, this is a video and it's going to be on screen. You don't mind it coming through somebody's window saying, "Have a nice day." They said, "No, it was a very funny joke, you know." So I said, fine, you know. So that's your problem, buddy. So we just left it in the video. When I had to make the major decision if I was going to continue as an artist or whether I was going to become a musician, I got in very quickly into the music. And the first thing I wanted to do was that I always had an interest in the visual arts. That slipped over into theatre as well. And so what I wanted to do always, I knew that I wanted to amalgamate theatre with rock and roll. And that was the one essential thing I wanted to do. So I threw myself into every kind of theatrical experience, and I went to see everything I could. And I went to meet everybody I just knew I had to meet people, see what the experiences were like, everything I could get hold of, every element, assimilate everything, so that I had some kind of foundation for knowing, okay, this is my paint box. Now what do I paint with all this stuff and all this information?
Because you took quite another direction than the other British blues-based bands like the Stones and the Who.
Yeah.
You went quite another direction.
Yeah, I wanted to get... Absolutely, I wanted to get into multimedia things, and I went and worked with Lindsay Kent Mime Company for 2 or 3 years. I wrote him songs, and he taught me mime, and we went on tour a few times. I mean, all those things were incredibly essential to me, and to go and see things like the Living Theatre and the Bread and Puppet Theatre, all that stuff, and Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and all these images came at me. Yeah. It was very exciting.
Yeah, and you were aware in yourself that you want to go in that direction?
I wanted so I didn't know how it was going to turn out. If I'd known today what I knew then. But I knew it was going to be an exciting adventure.
Good. I think, David, this is an appropriate place to end off. Should we take a look at Stockholm right
Let's
now?
look at Stockholm and look at this poor boat, which is still stuck there. Okay. I can't quite read it. Prince Carl Philip, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the...
Well, earlier it was very beautiful here. It was very, very sunny, and that's one place I would like to have been, on that boat, cutting through. I still haven't found out, essentially, how that boat gets through that ice flow.
No.
Does it cut its own way through, or do they just leave it there for the winter?
I think they'll leave it there.
Ah.
I'm not a native born Stockholm. Thank you very much, David.
It's been my pleasure. I've enjoyed being here.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
We didn't even get the date for your concert.
Oh, yes. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't bring cigarettes this morning. No.